And then they said that Earth was the same thing, the same as also a planet in space. I could just picture that, you know. You're on a planet hanging in the middle of nowhere. And then they said that they were going to show me the birth of our planet. And while I was watching, this explosion occurred, this exploded. And I remember that I threw my arms and run to cover my face because these huge chunks that were coming towards the craft, flying in different directions. But they didn't hit the craft. And then I saw that they started like something was forcing them, making them go back, like going back together again. And when this happened, some were left, some didn't make it as it formed into a sphere. And then it was covered, a little bit of time, it was covered completely with like snow, ice snow. It was very pretty and then the snow thing melted, the ice thing, and rivers, oceans were formed. And here was the planet Earth, what science calls the Big Bang. I'd never heard of anything like that. And I thought, well, very pretty, you know, very, I'm not interested. And by then, of course, the thing goes back up again. And then they said they were going to show me the exterior of the craft, which would be the top part, and the bottom was the same, by an observation deal that I could look out and see the surface of the craft, shape and surface. And okay. And then they told me how where we were like a shell within a shell. And in between the walls was a mechanism that operated the craft. And this protected them from that mechanism. And so I thought, well, okay. And then they said that the craft operated on fuel. That the craft, and it gave me a mental picture, could fly low over a forest where it would hit the trees, but it wouldn't hit the trees, the top of the trees, because the craft would be eating the top of those trees, converting it into energy. And sure enough, all the tops of the trees were chopped off. And that it created its own, that anything the craft approached, even when it was standing still, so to speak, hovering, anything that came near it would be converted into energy. The craft would eat it, in other words. And, all right. And then I saw the captain. She was the one that really got my attention. And I swear to God, she's a dyke. This is Leslie. This is the way she was dressed, the way she acted, you know. Another George Patton in drag. And tall, slim. And she just looked at me like, with contempt, you know, like very aloof.
Long hair, short hair?
No, it was shorter. It was cropped. More page boy. I think that's what they call it. I don't know. It wasn't long, like, wasn't shoulder length, anything like that. It was dark. Not black, but dark. And I was told that she was the captain of the ship. Well, I could care less. I didn't even want to meet her anyway. I didn't like her to begin with. And they knew what they were dealing with. And I kept saying that I wanted to go back. And but they, you kidnapped me and you have no right to do this, and I don't want to be here and I'm not interested. Take me back. And then a wall. I don't understand how it did this, but the material, like, it just separated like a living substance. And there stood Jesus, and these two flanking him with those crystal swords that I told you about, the two Assyrians flanking him. And I thought, what is this? Like, what's he doing on this ship? And then the one that was the spokesman, the one I've talked to, he told me that they were the ones who picked him up. And the story in the Bible, that they were the ones who appeared. And they were the ones who took him, and that's how he was taken. And only they called it a cloud. He went into the cloud and they saw him no more. And, I wasn't into religion either. I could give a shitless care, where he could have been God himself. And at that time, I was not interested in mankind, in any of these things. That was the farthest thing from my mind. And then,
What did they look like and what were they wearing?
Well, they look like, I always say like Scandinavians, Nordic. Like they were from Switzerland and they had this beautiful complexion. Light tan. And they were very good looking. By that I mean they weren't pretty, but they were handsome. And they all looked alike, except they had different color hair.
They were human or human?
Oh yes, human. Just like us. And they had these robes on, this material. It wasn't cloth. Some kind of a living energy that they had covered their bodies with. Like, maybe this is the way they did all the time, I don't know. And they had these sandals. They looked like some kind of, plastic hadn't come, And what we call plastic today, that's what they looked like they were made out of. And then they had this cord around, like Jesus did, around the waist. And it was a one piece outfit. And, but they were human just like us.
Was a cord like a belt?
Like a rope.
Yeah.
And then the door closed thing where Jesus was. And then I saw out of the floor, came up like a little desk. And on it was this large book. And he asked me with him to up to the book. And it was the Bible. In large print.
What color were the robes that they were wearing?
He was wearing green. And one of the two that was with him was red and one was blue. And he began to point things out to me in the Bible that I'd never seen before, and that's when he was telling me that God made man in his own spiritual image, a spirit. Because that God did not have a physical body. And therefore man was not created in the image of God, physically. And that he gave man a body, a physical body. And so, okay, all right, fine. And as far as I can remember,
did they also mention John 10:34? I say ye are God.
Well, yeah, they mentioned that about that we were gods. and chips off the old block, and the sons of God. And then they quoted parts in the Bible and showed me where God, where it says that the sons of God gathered, and Satan came amongst them. And I could care less. I was having a hard time because I was not interested.